Home-based business tax coach and wealth coach. And surely a plane's going to fly by as soon as I go live, right? you can't you can't make these things up. Anyway, welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Mark Paris, home-based business tax coach and wealth coach. I'm also the CEO and founder, alongside of my beautiful wife and business partner, Mrs. Levita Pyers, of the number one, the only one that I've seen in 30 years, tax educational platform where we teach directly from the IRS. Let me say this again. Okay, we don't give you, our opinion. We don't give you the Wesley Snipes approach. Teach you and have been teaching this information since 1994 directly from the Internal Revenue Services, the IRS, that the more you know, the more you get educated, the less you will owe in taxes. Why is that important? Because less taxes means more of your hard-earned income in your pocket, legally, ethically, and morally. And so, again, I've had the pleasure over the last 30 years to be able to share this information with hundreds of individuals. And today I was having a conversation. In fact, a couple of days ago, I planned to have this conversation about 401ks. So we're going to talk about 401ks, but I want to set the foundation. I'm not here to tell you whether or not you should be investing in a 401k. I'm not here to tell you whether or not a 401k is something that can benefit you financially. I'm going to break down the facts about whether or not a 401k, that this is a government controlled retirement plan that was put in place around, I believe, 1974 for employees. And there's a lot of what I call financial traps associated with the 401k. And I want to have a conversation. I want to raise these questions, give you something to think about if you are investing in a 401k. And again, I'm not here to bash the 401k. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, and the hidden truth that unfortunately most financial advisors aren't talking about. It's not taught in the school system. It is actually forbidden to be taught in the school system. That a lot of people never learn. Okay, so again, not here to bash the 401k. I'm going to give you the honest to God truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you make that decision. So let me go ahead and get my disclaimer before I get cooking. This information is not to be taken as financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have any letters behind my name when it comes to being a financial educator and or financial advisor. However, that does not stop me from giving you the facts. Now, I have been a tax preparer for over 30 years. I've also been a tax coach for over 30 years. I am probably the only one. I have searched YouTube high and low. I have had hundreds of people come to me by way of social media or referrals and tell me that I am the only person that they have ever met that teaches them tax education directly from the IRS, directly from the entity that most people have subconsciously or consciously been taught to be afraid of. I want to let you know, you don't have to be afraid of the IRS. The IRS is not the boogeyman. Whether or not you've been involved in an IRS audit or whether or not you've heard someone tell you, you don't want to mess with the IRS, just pay your taxes. You don't want to go down that road. Those are people that are uninformed. I'm going to use a few Bible verses that I love to use when I'm sharing this information because, again, today I had a conversation with a very smart young lady. Now I think she's in her early 60s, okay? She's a general manager of a very large multi-million-dollar operation. And we weren't having a conversation about investments it just kind of came up in the conversation. And this is not what I was going to talk about tonight, but I think it's important that I kind of mention this conversation. Now, here she is. She's in her early 60s. She's been investing in a 401k for over 30 years. Here's what the disturbing part of that conversation was. When I asked her, if you don't mind, can I ask you, what are some of the investments that you found to be, good investments in your 401k? You know what the answer was? She said, I don't know. I haven't looked at my 401k in probably 5 years. She said, I don't know anything about stocks. She said, I just put the money in. She said, I sat down with a financial advisor with my sister about 5 years ago. And I haven't looked at it since. She has absolutely, I said, wait a minute. So do you know how much money is in your 401k? She said, I really don't know. She said, I am totally illiterate when it comes to investing. That's my number one problem with 401ks. If you have a 401k, comment on this video. Let me know if I'm off. Let me know if I'm right. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree. Okay, but I'm going to tell you what I know, not my opinion. I'm going to tell you what I learned from hundreds of tax clients that have had an employee 401k. Well, there's a conversation to have. Let's start breaking this down. Why is it that a 401k is only offered to an employee where they can actually put in $23,000 a year tax deferred? Let's not miss that one. Tax deferred, okay? That's one thing. That's one thing that I've always asked myself. Why is it that the 401k is designed and limited to employees only? What do I mean by that? If you are a self-employed individual, you can't participate in a 401k. Now, for those of you that are going to say, wait a minute, that's not true, we're going to get to the second part of that when we talk about self-employed business owners, those that have gotten the right information. Okay, I'm going to show you the separation, the manipulation of the 401k for the employee, where the people that created it, the 1% that created the 401k for the corporations that I say was put in place to financially enslave you to work on the plantation for 40 years. You say, Mark, okay, here we go. Now we're going to bring up the systemic enslavement conversation. No, I'm telling you that we've been bamboozled, and it's okay, because once you get the information, you can free yourself from what I call the plantation of big corporation. There's nothing wrong with having a job, but there's definitely something wrong with you handing over your money and have absolutely no idea what's happening to it. So let's break this down, because I don't have a lot of time. So number one, a 401k is only offered to an employee. The 401k actually replaced pensions for a lot of us, right? The company actually used to give us what was called a pension. The company would put their money inside of an investment and let it grow. And when you retired, the company would pay you for the rest of your life. That no longer exists. They replaced it with a 401k. Here's my number one problem with the 401k. There's no financial education tied to it. Most of you that have ever had a 401k, I think you will agree with me that if you opened up that 401k, money is coming out of your check, going into that 401k, and you have absolutely no clue what those investments are. That's my first problem. Number two, if you have a loss in your 401k, don't miss this one. If you have a loss in your 401k, let's say that you're invested in, let's say, a Ford Motor Company, and that stock is doing terrible, okay? That stock is doing really bad. The company made some bad decisions, right? The stock is just declining. And you now want to sell whatever a month or shares that you have in Ford Motor Company, and currently right now, let's say that your portfolio with Ford Motor Company is down by $5,000, and you said, look, I can't take the bleeding anymore, and you sell that stock in your 401k. Do you know that you can't claim that loss on your taxes? Do you know that that $5,000 that you lost because you had to sever the losses in order to prevent yourself from continue to lose money in that stock, in that 401k, do you know that you cannot claim that as a loss when you file your taxes next year? Well, what makes that relevant? Because I could have invested in the same company, had the same loss in a brokerage account with no control, no penalty if I touch my money. I don't have to meet the government's retirement age, and that's a whole different conversation. Why is the government dictating when you and I get to leave the plantation of big corporation? You got to start thinking. Here's another question, but let me finish my thought. I could invest in that same exact stock, and if I was down $5,000, I could sever the loss, sell it. I would have a $5,000 loss that I can claim on my taxes next year to offset $5,000 of gains. I want you to think about that. As you're putting money in your 401k for 20, 30, 40 years, you will never be able to capitalize or get a benefit for none of the losses. However, a regular person like me that invests in the same exact portfolio inside of what's called a brokerage account and have the same losses can get a tax deduction to offset the taxes on the money that I earned on my job and or offset the taxes on the money that I've earned in my other investments. Number one reason a 401k is a financial trap. Number two reason a 401k is a financial trap. Why is it that the government has a mandate that once you put the money in that account, you cannot get the money out until you meet their retirement age? Currently, right now, if you was born after 1960, that means that you can't touch that money until you're 67 years old without penalty. Why do you think that is? I call it the 40-40-40 plan. It's the 40-40-40 plan. That's why. Because here's the facts. What if my parents passed away and left me a sizable inheritance and I no longer need to work? What if I'm 35 years old, 40 years old, and my parents left me a sizable inheritance, and now I have enough money? I'm sitting on $5 million. I don't have to, there's no reason for me to go clock in. Why do I have to be penalized opposed to just paying the taxes on the money that they allow me to put in the 401k? It's called a financial trap. It's called locking you down, taking the shackles off of you and putting financial shackles on you, scaring you with the lack of knowledge about taxation, putting you in position to have them control your money and threaten you with penalty if you touch that money before their designed retirement age. You said, well, why is that relevant, Mark? Like, okay, isn't that normal? No, because I can invest the same amount of money inside a brokerage account. I get to control what stock. Oh, there's another one coming right there. I get to control the stocks that I invest in, not the stocks that you offer. Ooh, that one's good. I can invest in the stocks that I want to invest in. I can invest in real estate. I can invest in silver and gold. Do you know that the average return, you can Google this, do you know that the average return on a 401k in 2023 was 5 to 8%. I'm going to pause there for a moment. For the entire year of 2023, the average return on a 401k was between 5% and 8%. I can show you 20 stocks that have gained 5% to 96% in the last 30 days. There's something wrong with those numbers, okay? And so reason number 3, why is it that you put your money in that 401k and you are only allowed to invest in the portfolio that your company went over with the management of the 401k and sat down and said, okay, they can invest in this, and this, but they can't invest in anything else? Isn't it your money? Why is it that you can only invest in the stocks that your company offers? Try going into your company and say, you know what, I want to invest in silver and gold, and watch what they tell you. We don't offer that. So hold on a minute. So I put my money in the account. You tell me now I can't get it out without penalty. Plus I got to pay the taxes on it, and that's okay because it went in tax deferred. But I'm going to pay a 10% penalty to touch my money, even though I no longer need to wait till I'm age 67, right? Because I've got now a sizable amount of money. Some of you might say, well, you know, if you got a large inheritance, why not just leave that money in there? That's not the point. The point is, why are they trying to control that money, and why are they putting an age on it for you to touch it? It's called the 40-40-40 plan. Mark, what is the 40-40-40 plan? You've mentioned that a little while ago. Where you and I were supposed to follow this plan. And if you don't believe me, follow the numbers. Where you go to work for 40 hours, and you're going to work for 40 years, and you're going to retire and struggle on 40% of what you could not live on when you was working. Mark, how did you arrive at that? Well, let's talk about Social Security. Let's talk about the government retirement age of age 67. Let's kind of walk through this process, okay? So the average person graduates from high school somewhere around 18 or 19. And we know that the average person don't just jump out of high school and go right to college. And if they do, most people fumble the first 2 years, right? Because they're having fun in college, right? They really don't get serious until they realize that they got 2 more years on that 4-year degree, and they got to get their stuff together, or they're going to spend 6 years in college, depending on what they're going for. So the government knows that it's probably going to take you, before you really get a good job, it's probably going to take you, after you leave high school, maybe 4 to 5 years, okay? And so now let's take age 18 and add 5 years to it. You're at age 23. I want you to take age 23, and then I want you to take age 67, and I want you to minus 23 from 67 and tell me what you come up with. And you're going to be somewhere around that 41, 42 years. So it's already designed that you're going to work on the plantation of big corporation, because they didn't teach you any financial education on how to get your money to work for you. Now they created this 401k plan, and they don't teach you anything about the investments. They control what you can invest in, and then they threaten you with penalty if you touch it before their government-controlled retirement age. You earn 5 to 8% per year when you could have invested that money on your own in the same exact portfolio. You could have got a tax deduction for any losses that you took, and you could have retired yesterday. You could retire a year from now and start living on that money without penalty. So 3 reasons I've already talked about. Number 1, there's no financial education. about your 401k. Most of you that are watching this video, if you have a 401k, ask yourself a question and be honest, and let me know in the comments if I'm off. Do you actually know what your 401k is invested in? Number two, can you touch that money anytime that you want to? The answer is no. We all got to agree with that. Number three, can you invest in what you want to invest in versus what the company is controlling where your money can be invested in? You can't invest in real estate. However, you can open up a brokerage account. You can open up a self-funded IRA, put money in your IRA, still get the tax deduction for it, and you can invest in real estate. That's a whole different conversation. We out here paying rent and paying mortgages to the mortgage company, paying interest, and ain't getting no tax deduction for it. When you could have oh my God. See, I should have charged for this one. Do you know that you could have taken that money, put that money in a self-funded IRA? You could have purchased a house under your retirement account. And do you understand that you could have legally rented the house from yourself? Hold on a minute, because I don't think the person in the back got what I just put down. You could have took what would have otherwise been tax money, put it in a self-funded IRA. You can't do this in a 401k. You could have purchased a rental property. You could have rented the property from your retirement account. Your retirement account is going to receive your rent money. Your rent money goes into your retirement account, tax deferred. And if you do it right, it could actually be tax free. And so now you are actually paying yourself to rent versus paying the bank in interest. I'm going to let that one marinate there for a minute. Number five. You have zero control over that 401k. There's nothing that you can do to increase the amount of opportunities to grow your money. None. You have to follow their rules and invest in what they want you to invest in. However, I said I was going to mention this. As a self-employed individual, now remember what I said about the government having a $23,000 we're going to call it a cap. You can put in $23,000 tax deferred. I'm going to say non-tax this year. Watch this. You got to get this. See, because we're so bamboozled. We've been so frightened of the government. We've been so misled about taxation. I want you to think about this for a minute. If the government, the United States of America, has a 35 trillion, with a T, national debt, that means that they owe somebody $35 trillion. If you don't know what $1 trillion is, I want you to go to YouTube and type in, what is $1 trillion? It'll blow your mind. You couldn't spend $1 trillion in your entire life. When you really get the understanding of what $1 trillion is, it will blow your mind. And the United States national debt is $35 trillion. I got a couple of questions. I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. I thought the United States, dollar was the world reserve currency, the strongest currency in the world. I thought the United States currency gave us the power to be one of the most powerful countries in the world. And we are, because of our military. But are we because of the value of our dollar? Have you ever asked yourself, have you ever heard that you could take our American money and you can go somewhere like China or you can go to the Philippines and you can live like a king and a queen. You can take $10,000 and live like a king or a queen in the Philippines. But in the United States, the average rent is over $3,000, and that's even in the hood. So the money doesn't really have value here. However, you're locking it away in a system that you have no control over. Now, I will say this. If you're not going to take the time to get educated on how to legally get your money to grow for you, how to learn how to invest your own money. People say, well, I don't know anything about investment. Remember that general manager that's managing, she's managing a multi-million-dollar operation, and she said to me, I don't look at my 401k because I don't know anything about investing. And she didn't want to have a conversation with me about it either. Well, the Bible says that my people are destroyed from the lack of knowledge. And so until you are willing to get the knowledge, you're going to be destroyed. And I assure you, if she opened up her 401k and showed it to me, she's probably lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, not including the fees. And I haven't even talked about those. If you don't think that the fees are egregious in your 401k, I should have started out with that one, because most people don't know how much money they're actually losing from the custodians taking fees from your 401k now. Not when you get 67, they're taking it now. And they take it whether or not your 401k makes money or loses money. Let me ask you a question. If you went to work and your boss gave you an assignment, and that assignment needed to be completed by Friday, and on Friday your boss called you in the office and say, let me see what you got, and you tell your boss, well, I really didn't have time to work on that assignment. Do you think, and it was an important assignment, I mean, it was worth millions of dollars to the company. Do you think you'd have a job on Monday? No, you ain't gonna have no job on Monday. You ain't gonna have a job on Monday. So let me ask you a question. If the custodian over your 401k is watching your account dwindle down because of bad investments in your 401k, and they don't call you and say, hey, I think you might want to have a sit down. I think you might want to have a consultation because your 401k is losing money and we can stop it, but we need you to get on the phone with us. However, they're taking hundreds and then thousands of dollars in fees from your 401k while your 401k is losing money. Do you think they should get fired? Some of you say, I don't pay no fees. I challenge you to call Fidelity on Monday morning and ask them, I need you to send me a list of the total amount of fees you have taken out of my account. Over the course of your retirement account, it will cost you anywhere from 2 to 5% of your entire amount of money that you saved. It's a great, I'm talking this hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most people don't know it. You know why? Because we're too busy looking at the screen saying how much we got. It's not about how much you got. I always say, it's not about how much money you make that counts. It's how much money you keep. And so what's the solution? Well, again, I always say this. If you're not going to get educated, if you're not going to take the time to get informed, then I'd much rather you put that $23,000, which the truth is, only about 15% of Americans can even afford to max out their 401k. So we should get rid of that. We should stop talking about, to max out your 401k. The first thing a financial advisor want to tell you, max out your 401k. Are you kidding me? The average household income in the United States of America is about $65,000 or $70,000. Where are they going to get $23,000 extra dollars to throw in their 401k? Who's doing that? It's only about 15%, and those are the top 6-figure earners that are maxing out their 401ks. Okay, so that doesn't even exist for the average. That's not the majority. That's the minority. But did you know that you have the opportunity to invest in your own retirement? You can invest in a, if nothing else, an IRA. And you can actually take the money in your IRA. It's tax deferred, the same benefits you got from the 401k. But watch this. Watch this. Because I want to show you the control. Because until you realize that you're being controlled, you'll keep doing it and making the same mistakes. You can only put $7,000 if you choose to open up a self-funded IRA. But if I let my company control it, I can put $23,000 in it. And some people say, "Ooh, that's a benefit." That's a benefit. And it is a benefit if you're not going to do anything else. But again, the average 401k is only averaging 5 to 8%. I can show you 20 stocks that's done anywhere from 10% to 94% in returns this month. I can show you a stock that did over 300% 3 days ago. It's probably not offered in your 401k. 300% in 2 days. You're not going to find that every day, but you are never going to find it in your 401k. There are companies that you can go on Yahoo Finance and just scroll Yahoo Finance, and you will see companies on a daily basis, 15%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, 80% returns in a day. And a 401k is producing 5% to 8%, and I'm locking up my money under threat of penalty until I'm blind, crippled, and crazy with 1 foot on a banana peel. We got to wake up. I'm not telling you that a 401k isn't good. I'm telling you that you got to understand the manipulation. You got to understand that it may not necessarily be in your best benefit because the company's offering a match. I have clients that has come to me over the years that have put money in a 401k that never should have been put in a 401k, and here's why. Because based on their tax write-offs and based on the number amount of children that they had and based on the income they were earning, they had a zero, don't miss, you gotta catch what I'm gonna say here. They had a zero federal tax liability. Meant they didn't make enough money. By the time they got the child tax credit, by the time they got the standard deduction, by the time they got the business write-off, they owed zero federal tax dollars, legally, ethically, and morally. However, they had $8,000 sitting in a 401k that they put in during the course of that year that would have otherwise been 100% non-taxable. Why? Because they didn't have a tax liability. You think the company's going to come and say, "Hey, let's do an assessment to see whether or not you're actually taking money that you otherwise would not be paying federal taxes on, and you're putting it in this 401k trying to get the match, and you can't even maximize the 401k. You're putting in money that you should be putting in a Roth IRA, where the money grows tax-free versus tax-deferred, and you're not penalized for taking your contributions." That just went over that just went over somebody's head. There is an account called a Roth IRA that you put the money in. They tell you to put the money in because the money's already taxed. Well, if you don't have a tax liability, when you put that money in the Roth IRA, that's tax-free money because you didn't have to pay any taxes on it. That money grows 100% tax-free. Not tax-deferred, tax-free. And you can touch your contributions to the Roth IRA before retirement age. Y'all didn't even hear and understand what I just said. Guys, look, if you got any kind of value from what I share, because it's a lot, you definitely want to make sure that you subscribe to this channel. You want to hit that little bell anytime that I'm going to go on here, because I'm going to be all over the place, but I'm going to tell you what you're going to get. You're going to get some golden nuggets. You're going to get the facts. You're going to get the truth. You're going to get 100% of the real deal information. If I'm talking taxes, it's directly from the IRS. See, I had some CPAs contact me over the years, and they said, well, what makes you qualify? What makes you qualified? I mean, you didn't go to college to be a CPA. I'm a CPA, and I'm a certified public accountant. I said, that's exactly what you are. You're a certified public accountant. You went to the school system to be taught how to tell other employees how to pay taxes that they shouldn't be paying legally, ethically, and morally. They didn't teach you how to teach your client to pay less taxes. They taught you how to teach your clients to pay taxes. There's a difference. See, we ain't the same. See, I learned everything directly from the people that you and your clients are frightened of, because they put this face, the boogeyman face on the IRS, made you scared of them, because that is where the information was to learn how to keep as much as your money. As I get ready to wrap this up, I want to prove that to you. If the government needed your money, why are they letting you tuck away $23,000 until you're 67 years old every year? If the government needed your money, why are they letting people write off their vehicles? Let people write off some vacation traveling. Let people write off going to restaurants. I mean, they get to write off the meal, they get to write off the drinks, they get to write off the drive to the restaurant, and they get to write off the tip. If the government really needed your money, why do you think they have things called tax deductions? If the government needed your money, why are they letting people that qualify, because not all of you qualify, about 99% of you no longer qualify for this one, but it's still a tax deduction, but you unqualified for it. Why are they letting people write off the interest that they paid to the bank on their mortgage? We got a $35 trillion national debt, and they're giving you thousands of dollars in tax breaks, and you still think the government needs your money. Really? No, I'm still here. Really? They're giving you thousands of dollars in tax breaks. They're talking about giving you $6,000 for every child that you have as a child tax credit, and they got a $35 trillion national debt. and you run around. You run around talking about, no, I'm going to pay them taxes. I'm going to pay them taxes. They try to tell you how to keep your money. Oh, no, I'm paying them taxes. I said the Bible said that my people are destroyed from the lack of knowledge. The Bible also said that a fool and his money will soon be parted. The government has no problem in taking your money if you want to give it to them. The only person that's responsible, the only fault it is for you losing thousands of dollars in taxes is your fault, because you won't take the time to get educated. That's why I teach it directly from the IRS, because most people won't believe it. Why? Because they've either heard it from their cousin, they heard it from their mama, or they heard it from a coworker, okay, that was trying to manipulate the system versus getting educated about the system, and they got their hands slapped because they was cheating on their taxes. We're not talking about cheating. We're talking about playing by the rules. Donald Trump said it best as I get ready to wrap this up. When Hillary Clinton said to the American people, millions of people around the world watching, Donald Trump doesn't want, I don't care what you think about Trump. I don't care what you think about Kamala. I don't care what you think about the left side, the right side. I don't care what you think about the blue side, the red side. You're the only people that I know, okay, that represents red and blue is Bloods and Crips. Those are gangs right here in California. Okay, I call the Democrats, those are the Crips, and the Republicans, those are the Bloods. Okay, all this political vote for the president and all that crap, it's all a smoke and mirror. Okay, they all gonna have their hands in your pocket. Okay, they might give you a little trinket. Okay, here's who's going to benefit from whoever the president is, whether it be Kamala, whatever her name is. Okay, because wasn't nobody even looking for her until Biden finally said, "Okay, I admit, I can't even remember what I ate this morning." Or Donald Trump. The only people that's going to benefit is the people that they have taught to be dependent on the government, remain living in poverty. You are never going to be wealthy. You're never going to be, above the poverty line, because that's the way that they trained us to think. Oh man. Anyway, I gotta stop. Because I just had a thought of a guy I was talking to last week, and I was trying to have a conversation with this guy and tell him that he can do better. And he has been so mentally broke down. He has been so mentally broke down that he doesn't believe that he can do anything other than have a job. Nothing I can say to him, because he doesn't believe it. All he believes that he can do is work just to get by, to pay his bills. So guys, those are my thoughts on a 401k. Again, I'm not here to tell you that a 401k is bad. I think a 401k is a good place to put your money versus putting it in the government's pocket if you're not going to do anything else. However, I do believe that you need to get informed, because some of you are putting money in the 401k and that money otherwise would not have been taxed. Some of you are putting money in the 401k and that money is in bad investments because nobody will teach you where your money is actually being invested in. Some of you are putting money in a 401k when the company doesn't even match you, doesn't even give you a benefit, and you're putting money in the 401k, locking it away for the next 40 years under the threat of penalty. What's the solution? You can get informed. You can learn how to actually open up a brokerage account. You can actually learn how to open up a self-funded IRA. You can actually learn how to purchase the same exact stocks that you're purchasing with your company, but you are in control. And so guys, again, if you got value from this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, hit that little bell, because I'm going to be dropping a lot of information and knowledge. Tax time is coming. When is the best time to understand what your tax risk is? Right now. If you wait till January 1st, it's too late. I want you to think about that. You're already behind the 8 ball. It's already August 2024. And you don't have any clue how much money that you currently right now are going to owe in federal taxes. And today, you can make a decision to reduce that, some of you, down to zero, legally, ethically, and morally. Doesn't it make more sense to have the money in your pocket or in your retirement account than in the IRS pocket? You got to learn how to take advantage of it. You got to get the information. So I think I put my email in the description of the video. If I shared one thing with you that you got questions, go to that email, send me an email, leave a comment. Let me know if you think I'm off. Let me know how you feel about a 401k. Again, not bashing 401ks, but we got to get informed that those were set up to control you, not to benefit you. Yes, some people retire and they have money in the 401k, but they don't know about the hundreds and tens of thousands of dollars that they lost. And more importantly, they don't think about the most valuable asset that they gave up in exchange for that trap, and that's their time. There's nothing more precious than time. With that being said, guys, this is Mark Pyers, home-based business tax coach and wealth coach, CEO and founder, alongside of my beautiful wife and business partner, Mrs. Lavita Pyers, saying to you, the more you know, the less you will legally, ethically owe in taxes. The government doesn't want your money, just wants you to move that money in a direction that makes you more money. But they're never going to teach it to you because everybody can't be wealthy. That being said, we'll see you guys on the next video.